Rajiv, again, welcome to the webinar, and we'll have your questions again. I'll just quickly open your questionnaires and just a moment.
Yeah, now you can hear me, Chintan?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you be a little more louder?
Yeah, now it's fine.
Yeah, perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so again, Rajiv, I'll come to, we'll take questions particularly from an open access perspective here. So firstly, tell me about investment challenges from an open access perspective. What are your views and thoughts on this in India? I mean, obviously for the Indian market.
Right. So Chintan, if you see that a lot have been covered by Mr. Kapil and Mr. Kailash on the utility scale projects. So if we segregate the investment option as on today by either the big fund houses or the PE investors or the developers, the first choice of investment definitely come with the state so SECI or NTPC based PPAs, because they have been backed by the central government themselves, and you have a cash flow assurity coming with these PP. Of course, the tariffs are something which is to be discussed later on. But if you see from investment point of view, what I have seen over the last 5-6 years is that a lot of policy stability has come in few of the states, if we speak in general. And now the industries, especially the CNI industries who were at 2-3 years back, were not that standard and they were not understanding the ifs and buts of this business. But now we are seeing quite standard bids coming up from large industrial houses. I will not name them, but we have seen over the last 1 year, a lot of standard bids have come. So what we see is that the customer themselves are understanding what is the pain point of a developer as on today in Indian context, and they are also standardizing their terms and condition based on that. Now, if you see exactly from an investment point of view, definitely we would target customers in the range of A-rated category and above. But it's being very difficult in this post-COVID era to find the suitable customer, because we never know how the credit rating is going to be affected in the next couple of quarters going ahead. So it's not a very encouraging moment right now, but going forward, I would definitely say in the long term and medium term, open access investment is going to flourish in India. And we are just at 3.5 to 4 gigawatt of the total installed capacity if I go with the open access projects in themselves. But going forward, I can clearly see that 5 to 6 gigawatt can be easily added if we have policy stability and some support from the central and the state governments in this sector.
Okay. Then again, moving ahead, I also have probably one question for you. I'll take it at the end of this. Again, I think so. Kapil also had covered this point, but again, from an open access perspective, where you already have deployed assets and shifting is not very easy. What about the vulnerable industries today and its fate of it in terms of the PPAs which you have signed? So do you think that it's going to be a big task to move on that asset to maybe another fruitful assets, or will you hold on to these assets and give them a leeway or a breather for a while?
Right, that's then. I mean, this was covered in the by Mr. Pratik and Kapil on the rooftop segment. The effect is actually not universal. If you see the COVID impact on the CNI segment, there are certain industries like cement and steel who has a base load which is always required to be on, and there are certain industries, especially the hospitality, airports, and the hotel chains have been largely affected by the COVID. But the FMCGs and the pharmas and the cement and steel are still running with some backlog of orders with them, or certain amount of power which they definitely need all the time as a base load of them. So if you see the PPA characteristics of the solar, if I'm specifically speaking about solar open access PPAs, they generally, these segment of industries have actually signed up for 1/3 or maybe 50% of their actual power requirement through solar open access. So on the good side, it is that this much amount of power is always required by these industries, whether or not they are running at full load or base load at least.
Absolutely.
Now coming to your second part of question is the vulnerability of these segment of industries. Now, hospital chain and if you see the commercial industries as such have been badly affected by COVID, and the commercial segment has always been the most riskier segment of for the open access because of the credit rating of these customers and the kind of cash flow these business generates over the time. So there is always a question mark, like if you are signing up any PPA with any malls or any hotels, how many years these malls and hotels are going to continue running? If you are signing it today, you don't have a visibility of whether a mall will run for the entire 20-25 years. So this thing is always there in our mind when we are going to sign a PPA on the characteristic of the customer. So just to summarize this, I would suggest that there are segments of PPAs which the solar developers are signing, and these categories which are mostly affected by COVID today is the hospitality industry, and this will take another couple of quarters to actually revive their load requirement.
But then what will, I mean, if you have, say, sign a PPA with a hotel, a 5-star hotel, and it's not running, and you know that maybe 6 months, 8 months down the line, it's not going to be, it's not going to be a fruitful asset for you. What will be the fate of the PPA? I mean, legally, and just to sum it up in a very short manner, not only from your industry perspective, but in general perspective. I mean, you're not company perspective, not your company perspective, but an industry perspective.
Right. So if you see most of the states, they came out with solar policies with a banking regulation in place. But typically it means that you have to sign up a PPA for certain million units, which you have to consume in the entire year. So if you see the COVID, which has actually hit us hard in the month of April, and now we are in the mid-May. So what we can foresee is that for another 1.5 or 1 month, this lockdown situation and this zero consumption situation is going to stay with us. So Q1 for this financial year is completely washed out for these industries. But still, if we see that the next 9 months, which is Q2, Q3, Q4, is the time where these industries can actually come up and they can consume the quantum of power for which they have signed the PPA with the solar developer. Now, this is one mitigation measure which the solar developers can foresee, that whatever they are producing will be consumed in the next 9 months of the year. The second mitigation measure which I see today is that a lot of industries have declared this as a force majeure event. And under this PPA clause, we have an option to sell this power in some alternate markets, such as power exchange or through bilateral or through some short-term tenders of the state discoms, which comes for 3 months or 6 months kind of duration. So these are the mitigation measures which any solar developer can deploy presently to sell out their power which he is generating, if not consumed by the PPA customers which they have with them.
Okay. So then again, we're talking about one pain point in the open access scenario is the cross subsidy surcharge, and it is very it is in a phase right now where there are certain levy of the CSS, then again the state government withdraws it, again puts it. So it is creating a lot of uncertainty. So again, because of this, the entire investment perspectives goes for a toss at times, and you are in the middle of a negotiation, and again you need to rethink whether you should do it. So I mean, why is it that probably as per your experience or as per your overall view, why CSS has been played around by the discoms, and we don't see any stability in that? So what are your views?
Right. So CSS has been the biggest threat for the open access market from the day it started in India. Now, we need to congratulate the government on one hand that if you see from the day of 2003 Electricity Act till 2020, we are 17 years from the liberalization of the power sector of India. And a lot of good things have happened over this last 17 years. If you see, power exchange came up in 2008, and then power trading started, and a lot of good things for the open access segment has started. And there are states which has taken the open access as a progressive way, with the mindset of progressive liberalization for the industries. And on the positive side, a lot of industries have actually invested only in those states, if you see, who are very liberal in providing open access solution, be it Gujarat, to start with, and then you had a few bouts in Maharashtra to begin with, and then Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, and other states. Now, but slowly, what the DISCOMs have started thinking is that open access is a threat for their own existence, because the cash milk, or you say the cow which was giving milk is actually shifting away from their wire to open access. So they have started deploying the cross subsidy surcharge. And then as per national tariff policy, there is a clear-cut formula on which you define the cross subsidy surcharge based on the standard capacity you have. But we have seen in many states, they have not used the formula, and they have arbitrarily come out with a CSS number, which is exactly which makes open access unviable for the industries. So what I feel, and today's forum I will use to say, is that you can use CSS as a short-term antibiotic to kill the open access system in the whole plethora of power sector in India. But over the long term, the liberalization of electricity and providing cheap power to the industry is the only option to bring investment in the states by the state government. And that is what we are seeing by the solar policy of Uttar Pradesh. If you have seen, they have given us clarity of additional surcharge being 50, the transmission and distribution charges being 50%, and ED exempted for 10 years for the time of COD to maybe till the time of commissioning. For the 10 years kind of policy period is a very big policy period incentive, which is good for solar developers also to put in the project, and from customer also point of view, because they have a clarity that this much saving I will be making for the next 10 years. So CSS, just to summarize your answer, is that CSS is something which has been played very arbitrarily by the state governments. And going forward, the best gift which any government can give to actually open up open access or to open up solar industry in the state is to make this CSS zero completely. Why? Because I will just take one more moment to conclude this. Currently, the captive power plant and group captive mechanism is the only way where you can make CSS zero, where you need an investment of close to 30 to 35 lakhs per megawatt from the customer to invest in the project SPV. Now, on paper, it looks quite feasible, but on reality, it is a very tough task for all the industries to participate with that much equity into the project. So that is actually killing the whole aspiration of making 175 gigawatt by 2020.
Right, perfect. Right. So I got your perspective. Thank you. Definitely take that question. Before that, there is one question by Mr. Sanjay Agarwal to Mr. Rajiv Roy Chaudhary. Which industries are you still bullish post COVID-19, and which industries you will avoid?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I had answered on this in my answer first half is that there are a few industries which are least affected with COVID. If we see the pharma industry has shown very good trend in this COVID scenario, then the FMCGs have been doing good. If you take a few names like Britannia's and all, they've been doing good. Then you can see the cement and the steel plants, and cements have been consuming power. They have a backlog of orders, and India being in the crux of a lot of new developments coming up on the construction side. So these segments are somewhere going to play a major role in the time coming forward. And then you have the steel segment. Only problem in the steel segment is that you don't get a very good credit rating in the MSME and the middle sector of the steel if you leave apart the big ones. Then these are the sectors we are actually hoping in, like steel, cements, FMCGs, and pharmas.